Assalamu alaikum, Tisham.
Walaikum salam.
We're back again.
We are in a different setting.
In a different setting, but this time we've got a very important discussion to have.
We do.
The last one was very important as well.
It was. I think that was a good one to start with.
Alhamdulillah. But now, next step, basically, in a father's journey, right? First was, how do you even become this kind of dad, right?
Yeah.
What do you do to support your wife?
Yes.
You're going into this new role of being a father. But now that you're in that role, something that I found, when working with dads and speaking to them in our WhatsApp groups that we have and just chatting to dads generally, even before like dadhood became a thing, and even experiencing it myself, big thing was, I've got kids now, I can't do everything that I was doing before.
Yeah.
Time management essentially has become a big issue. And there's a lot of expectations that we have on ourselves as dads, right?
Yeah.
Before you became a dad, you're probably in the gym all the time, probably doing Quran all the time.
Yeah.
Probably, got all these habits and goals and stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
Now that you become a dad, a lot of those things take a lesser priority in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Understandably so, because you have a child now that you have to take care of. And that child's not going to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And you have a wife that's just come out of pregnancy and she also needs support. And so many things can sort of just get pushed to the side, right? And the conversations that I have with a lot of people is, how do I get back on track? How do I actually manage my time?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, Sham, why does time management become such a big issue for dads?
I think firstly, it's a matter of discipline. I think firstly, we don't seem to have discipline with ourselves simply because of the way society has geared us to be detoxing, winding down, and then we feel very pressurized in doing certain things. Really and truly, what needs to happen is we need to find a middle ground of balancing everything out, right? That there needs to be a clear structure of X time block is for work, X time block is family time, X time block is my kind of rejuvenation time, and X time block is for rest and kind of something else, right?
Yeah.
We don't usually work within time blocks. I think everything overflows and then everything seems chaotic. And there's even a beauty in the chaos, right? But you have to be able to manage that and understand how those things flow into each other within those time blocks. Mm-hmm. And I think we'll kind of explain, and maybe I'll kind of say what I do, for example, and we'll kind of go into it a bit.
Inshallah, yeah. So you're saying that there needs to be these anchors in the day.
Yes.
And a lot of the times when guys become dads now, they've lost those anchors.
They've lost it.
And it just becomes chaotic.
But you know why? I think because as guys, maybe I'm speaking for myself. I don't want to speak for the whole show, the mankind, right? But for myself, before I was married, I didn't have such a strict regimen in the day.
Okay.
That's simply because I knew roughly what I had to do in the day. And I know I've got all the time in the world for myself, and I'll be able to squeeze it around whenever I can. I'll get my rest in, I'll get like the gym in, I can kind of go out if I needed to. I could even add plans to it, but I know I can still get those things done.
Yeah.
Now, when you get married and when you have children, it becomes very difficult because now you have external factors you need to consider that you're not always considering in those blocks, right? Does that make sense? And because they're not blocked off, everything comes to you and you don't have the mental capacity in the sense to portion everything out, but not just portion it out in that sense that it doesn't flow in the same way. I think we're talking about a flow because everything has to be very fluid, especially when you're young kids, right? You suddenly have an nappy league, but you were now in the middle of about to leave, and you put half a trainer on, and you were like, "What do I do?" Right? So
you can't necessarily say this time block is family time block.
Yeah.
Right. You're basically saying that all family stuff will only ever occur in that time block.
Yeah.
And it will never occur in another time
block.
However, the example that you just given, that very well could have happened. The nappy leak or the child falling over and bumping their head could have very much happened in the time block that you had set for gym.
Yes.
So how is someone going to deal with that now?
But that's exactly the point, right? Is that firstly, we don't deal in time blocks because I think we come from a kind of non-structured life, guys. Okay, like from my experience and speaking to other people, I think
I hear that.
Okay, I'm glad you do. Okay. There's some validity to what I'm saying.
I think most guys will recognize that, will resonate with it. That we like the idea of structure, but in reality,
we go with the flow.
We just go with the flow of our day. Because we kind of, in our background and our mind, we know that there's certain things that need to happen.
Yes.
But we don't always have to look at a timetable.
Yes.
Whereas you probably find, I don't want to generalize now, but on the female side of things, that they like those visual things. They like the timetable. They like to follow that structure. They like to see those things, and they like to hit those checkpoints and whatnot.
Exactly.
And that's something that they would do regardless of being married or,
yes,
because it's just what they do.
This is what they do.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So what I'm saying is, firstly, we come from a non-structured place, right? But we need to apply a bit of structure, but that's why I'm using the word fluid, because we need to understand that there will be times when that kind of structure is not going to be possible. So you have to work around it. And it's that kind of being malleable in your nature and in your time that's going to lead you to be the most productive. But at the same time, having that structure is going to give you the most discipline, right? It's going to make you optimal and efficient, whereas not doing so is going to just make you feel like nothing is happening. It's going to make you sit on the couch and be an armchair critic. Life is going wrong, right? So that's kind of, they complement each other, but at the same time, they're completely opposites. But it's a balance between the two things, right?
So, okay, so just to summarize, right, we've essentially identified one root cause here.
Yeah.
The one root cause is before fatherhood, we're not living structured lives.
Yes.
Now that we become responsible over our wife, kids, etc., we are forced into structure.
Yeah.
And that basically doesn't sit well with us. And so we get overwhelmed when it comes to time management. Yeah. So that's one root cause, is that.
Yeah.
Are there any other root causes as to why fathers don't manage their time well, or why they feel overwhelmed with the amount of things that they have to do and not being able to get them done?
So one of the things I feel is that they have, having spoken to a few fathers, is that they don't have good communications at home.
Okay, interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
Is sometimes we feel so many things come onto us, like, where did this come from? What, you didn't tell me about it. We're getting late and you have to leave right now, but why didn't you tell me you need to do X, Y, and Z? But that's because they haven't opened the channels for communication. Maybe they didn't ask the right questions. Maybe they didn't actually feel the need to kind of even think about those things, because sometimes we are like, I know, for example, I factor in a time of leaving for half an hour and then it takes us 50 minutes because the wife said, no, we had to actually do. I was like, okay, makes sense. Okay, now we'll reassess the plan and go together. And that's what I'm coming to, right? Is that if you understand both partners, the husband and the wife, what they need to do to be able to achieve all of those things in the day, and the outcome and the result, and what they need to take off from both sides, you will be actually able to manage your time better. But if you do not, then when the need arises, I wasn't expecting this need, right? So if you're not communicating openly to receive that and factor that in, you're going to be in for a surprise daily.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to be in for a surprise daily. Whereas it's like, imagine you're a taxi driver and you don't think about fuel ever. But suddenly your light goes on. Oh, where did that? Oh, now it's going to take. Yeah, but you knew that there could be a need and you weren't prepared. And now that you had the need, of course, you're going to need to slot out the time so that you continue doing the work.
You're saying that we're being too reactive.
Yes.
Be more proactive.
Exactly.
Yes. So if we communicate well in advance,
yes,
then there'll be less overwhelm.
Yes.
There'll be less issues to face.
Yes.
You wouldn't get to a point where now you have to find a petrol station.
Yeah.
You would have already done it before it ever became a problem.
It would have been, you've dropped off one passenger and then you realize, hang on, the petrol station was close to their home. So you quickly did it before you even got the next job. So that it was just such a fluid thing. You just fluid it, and it was the most efficient. You didn't even consider that you were doing an extra task. Right. Like that's the level of fluidity that happens with good communication in the house.
Interesting. All right, cool. So we've got structure.
Yes.
And we've got communication.
Yes.
So I'm guessing these are like our main.
Yeah, I think those two are the main blocks
going forward. Yeah. To sort out our time management. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see what else is on the agenda here.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's sharp. So we understand that having discipline is important. And we need to now build that discipline as new fathers around the new situation that we have. And we know that communication is one of the key ways of getting all of that done, right? So let's do a bit of an audit here. I'm going to get a bit personal. You're going to have to do your own audit now. I'll do my own audit as well, right? We'll come on live and we'll audit what our day or week looks like.
Sure.
Let's try and figure out what it looks like, and let's use it and use that as an example to basically fix it and to show how somebody with your lifestyle, my lifestyle, could look at their week, look at their day, figure out all the different moving parts, and figure out how to manage that in the best way possible, and how to kind of create some of these time management tools inside of that week.
Perfect.
Yeah?
Let's do it. Disclaimer I want to give.
Okay.
Each thing that you fix is relevant for the kind of phase that your children are in.
Okay.
Right?
Interesting. Yeah.
Why so? Because the newborn phase is different to a toddler, different to like a preschool, different to like a preteen, teen.
Yes.
They all look very different, and your routine in the home will change depending on them, and your responsibility. And as you mature, if you've got teenagers, you're going to be generally a bit older in age anyway.
Yeah.
So your lifestyle will be different as well. So obviously this is in respect to firstly our lifestyles and our current position with our children, but it will vary ever so slightly, and you have to kind of adopt certain things for your stage. So I did want to caveat that.
I like that. So it's basically some of the things that we're saying can't apply to everyone.
No.
Can't apply to every situation.
Yes.
But I'm guessing there's some guiding principles that
there'll be overarching principles that they can definitely take. Yes, 100%.
All right, cool. So let's start with a bit of an audit, right? Let's start with maybe what a typical morning would look like for you.
Okay, so let's go on a Monday, for example.
Okay.
On a Monday, we have the morning school runs. Okay, what was happening was both the boys, they were in together in nursery, but nursery was like, they're getting a bit much together in nursery. So now we've had to split them out, right? Okay. So Yusha goes in the morning session, Musa goes in the afternoon session. So that's already now an extra school run, nursery run on top of the day. I'm working from, my hours are a bit flexible. I remote work, I work from home.
Okay.
And so that my hours can be a bit flexible. So what we do is we wake up early and we get the kids ready. There's breakfast, there's kind of the school nursery run, and then I'll sit down and my wife will kind of look after the other two in the meantime, and I can start some work. Well, that's so fluid that sometimes I don't begin work, either I can begin work at 9 and sometimes I can begin work at 12, 1, depending on what's happening in the house, right? Monday is also our shopping day. I find it the quietest day to go shopping. Everyone's busy and gone back to work, so I can just be in and out the kind of shopping within max hour and a half. Nice. And I'm done with everything. Got kind of supermarket hop, getting different things from different places.
Okay, nice.
It's just the most efficient thing to do, rather than losing a whole day on the weekend. Everyone go out. It's just efficiency, right? So when I've kind of dropped the one, I could even take the other one, for example, which gives my wife some time at home. She got a bit of breathing space and she can finish off some of her tasks. Again, it's about that kind of collaboration together to kind of.
And your wife works?
No, she's busy being a homemaker, right? There's 3 kids, a big deal. So that kind of happens, but then she gets some time. It's not always the case that I'll take someone, because sometimes it just doesn't happen. I'll drop them, maybe go a bit later. Funny enough, last week I tried it at like after bedtime. I tried it at like 8 in the night, and I was like, oh, this works. It feels a bit weird because people from everything was finished from the shelves, and people were busy. So in the day, it's very fluid.
Okay.
And in this comes nappies, and this comes feeding them, and this comes okay. Suddenly, like one's crying, but then she's got to do something for the other person, and I can just step away and kind of come in. And there's other projects outside of work that I'm working on as well right now, which means that I've got to squeeze them in. I've got meetings for them. I've got tasks for them.
Yeah.
And there's, again, being as fluid as possible, but then within the work and projects and everything else, there's the time for, all right, let's just sit down and I'll switch everything off and let's sit for lunch. Let's have a meal together. Or, you know what, why don't you do this? And then I'll sit and play with the kids for a bit. And I managed to get like 10, 15 minutes with them and then go away back to work and then come back. So it's very fluid in that sense.
Okay.
I try not to be out much. I think because of the 3 kids and they're very young at the moment, where I can restrict myself from being out, I make sure that I'm home as much as possible.
Okay.
That's not to say I don't go out, and that's not to say I don't do things that I need to, like, I'm here.
Yeah.
But where I restrict myself, I have those restrictions in place. But again, that doesn't mean I don't have time for fitness because I have some classes. That doesn't mean that I don't like kind of go out and socialize. I do. And we manage that. Rather, I try to facilitate a lot of that for my wife and say, I'll take the kids and you go, X, Y, and Z, and you go to a lecture and you go to take a walk in the park, and I signed her up to a group and stuff. They take walks in the park and reflect on nature kind of thing. Like, go, but it's a very collaborative thing, and you can see how fluid it is in the day that it will constantly change and constantly adjust. So maybe I'm not the best person to speak about 9 to 5 kind of job.
Sure.
But when I did have that, I was in a 9 to 5 and we did have a child. It was different. Like I would be at work, and then as soon as I come home, it was like phones off kind of thing. And now I'm present. Okay, now I'll take over because you've had, my son all day, and obviously her son too. Right? You've had our child all day. You've been looking after. You're probably tired, and now let's kind of evening time is our time. Sure. So and that would vary in different activities too.
So in the evening now, how would you separate that thing of getting the kids to bed and then having time for you and your wife just to chill out?
Yeah, so I'm very regimental in this. I think I've kind of drilled it home that, there needs to be a fixed bedtime. And I don't like a non-fixed bedtime. There has to be a fixed bedtime. And, sometimes it's very easy. Let them play for half an hour more and, then they'll get tired out and sleep quicker. I don't know. They need discipline and they need to go sleep at their time. And I'm going to make sure they go sleep. And I take care of that duty. I'm going to put them to sleep and I'm there firm. You're going to sleep now. And they go sleep. And that's when I prefer, because right now in the UK here, Maghrib's about 7:30. So literally, I'm trying to get them sleeping before Maghrib time, right? Their normal bedtime is between 6:30 and 7:30. Like that's kind of the slot. So about 6 o'clock, they'll have their dinner and everything thereafter, nappies, baths, in bed, everything is kind of happening in that hour. And then they'll be going to sleep. And then after that, we'll sit down.
Okay.
We'll have a dinner together, we'll catch up, we'll spend time together. And then it's like, what you've been up to, what I've been up to, and just kind of spend time together. I think that's the most important chunk because it doesn't need to happen in the sense that if she has a plan or I have a plan, that needs to be adjusted. But because, like I said, I'm home most of the days, that's almost an everyday occurrence that where we spend time. And I think it's so important to do is just have that time. And it's that one-on-one time without disturbance, without noise. And I think more than like us men, it's even more important for our wives. True. Right? True. It's that I don't want a noise and I just want to kind of speak to you and connect. And even if it's just like about random stuff, it's just
at the end of the day, you have to think that she's been dealing with baby talk and baby language, commanding things and emotional situations. Like she's deal. So when she finally gets the chance to sit down, she wants to be able to speak to a real human being, right? Not a baby or a child with issues, but actually somebody who can feed into her interests and connect with her and have that back and forth, essentially. That's what she wants at the end of the day.
100%. Sometimes it's very easy given our culture. What we'll do is sit down and, put something on.
Yes.
But I think it's important because everyone's tired. It's important to maybe have a question before dinner time saying, are you tired? Can we talk? Or do you want to just sit together? Because it's still time together. In the sense that you're close and you're kind of eating together, but or shall we watch something just for a little? And limit that time so that it's not like that whole 2 hours that you had together was going on binging Netflix. Right? It's about, okay, we'll do it for X amount of time, 20 minutes whilst we have dinner, and then let's sit down and then move positions. So that it's not like on a screen, and then we can now have tea and kind of catch up kind of thing. So I think that's important to do because there are days like, too tired to just want to eat, I just want to gobble down my food. And she'll be okay. And then we'll kind of move positions, like from the dinner table to the sofa kind of thing. Okay, now we can talk. Now we've got some energy in me kind of thing. Back up. Let's go.
MashaAllah. Okay, so that's still a typical day, or a typical Monday at least, So the school runs, the work, and the kind of dealing with flexible things during the day, and then the bedtime and the spending time with the wife sort of thing, right? Now, how did you get to that point where you've been able to map out all of those things, and you've been able to be like, okay, cool, I know when this needs to happen, I know when that needs to happen, and we're gonna get it done?
So this came about when, funnily enough, just before my son was born, and me and my wife had so many things to prep for in terms of getting ready for the newborn. We had task lists and stuff.
Okay.
And because we had task lists, it was like we needed to knock stuff off.
Okay.
And because of that, it just means that we need to be more structured in what we're doing. I'm away for work, then I come home, and then like, okay, this task, this research, that research. And just to manage it all and stay on top of it, we needed a way to kind of be on top of it, and like kind of project manage kind of together, right? So I did some researching. I liked this stuff, right? So I got a bit nerdy with it, and I found an app that works, collaborates. We can set different tasks, different colors, different reminders, and kind of go through it like that. We've been using that ever since, and our whole life lives on it. And sometimes, to be honest, we look at a calendar view, and then you'll ask me if I'm available, and let me just quickly check. And I'm like, oh no, me and my wife are doing this on that day, or she's got this plan, so this time doesn't work. It's so visible to me that I'll know exactly what I'm doing even months in advance. And then we take the kind of overall calendar into the things that we need to do daily. Okay. Right. So we add, we have then a secondary list, which is like the daily kind of tasks that we knock out. So, you know, every day we're going to do this, and knock those kind of out, as well as the daily, as well as kind of plans that we had in for those specific times. So we kind of just do that. It's a long journey. It didn't just start happening. It happened gradually, and those lists and projects and everything else just gets bigger and bigger, and you just kind of manage it as you go along. There were times, you know, months where it was quiet. There's months that were peak season and it was really busy in there. We were like, for example, this week, it was extremely busy for us this week, really busy for us this week. And every day felt like we had like 20, 30 tasks. That's a lot of tasks to do in a day. And we were just, and at the end of it, I was just tired. And, you know, we're just like, okay, can we just not do some stuff for a little while so that we could just spend time together and wind down? Yeah, exactly. And that's important to do, but you'll know how that works in your dynamics. That's the important thing. You know, maybe you're not doing tasks like that daily kind of thing. You don't have those projects. You know, maybe you just work and come home and sit and chill and think. So it'll be different for everyone.
Okay. All right. We'll go into setting that kind of stuff up in a bit more detail. Okay. Inshallah. Okay, Cham, I've got a challenge for you. Okay. All right. We're going to ChatGPT. We're going to ask ChatGPT to tell us a typical schedule of a dad that works 9 to 5 and has all these different things going on, right? So I'm going to start typing. You're going to tell me add this in, add this and add this in, so we can give it enough of a realistic way of what a typical week would look like for an average dad that works a 9 to 5 job. Add in different things, add in a bit of chaos, add in a bit of, you know, whatever, and then what we'll do is me and you will take. I'll open the challenge here. It's not just a challenge, but me and you will advise this person on what they should do to help manage their time better. Okay. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Ready? Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're gonna say, tell me a typical weekly schedule for a average dad living in London.
In London, let's just say.
Living in London, working a 9 to 5. How many kids does he have?
2 kids. Let's make it 2.
Okay. With 2 kids, how old are they?
Let's do 6 and 4.
Kids are 6 and 4. Okay. What else should we know about this dad? What does he like to do during this week?
He likes to play football on the weekends, and he likes to go gym.
He
3 times a week.
Football on the weekend. And goes gym how many times?
3.
3 times a week. Does he have any other responsibilities? Should we say maybe he's running a side hustle?
I would say
start one up.
Yeah, maybe starting one up. I wouldn't say anything
major. Side hustle, okay. Does he have any other responsibility maybe in his community or toward other members of his family outside?
I would say no. Just to keep it like as average as we can.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Let's say he visits his parents once a week.
And in-laws.
His parents and in-laws. Each once a week. All right. Yeah?
Yeah, go on.
All right, let's see what ChatGPT says. He's loading. Okay, cool. All right, what I'll do is I'll read out this kind of typical thing.
Get it up on the screen if you can. That'd be cool.
All right, we'll get it up on the screen. Yeah, we can show everyone, inshallah. All right, perfect. So here's what a typical weekly schedule looks like. Monday to Friday, which is your work days, will look typically like this. You'll wake up around 6:30, you'll start getting ready for work and stuff like that. And you'll also wake up your kids and you take them on a school run. And you would make sure that they're dropped off by 7:45, 8 o'clock, and then you start commute to work. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have your work day, which is 9 to 5, it says. And lunch, sometimes you use for a gym session, or you might actually use it to work on your side hustle a little bit. Right. And then you finish work at 5, and then obviously you need to have the commute home. Now you might also have to factor in pick up the kids at some point. So maybe you have to finish work early to pick up the kids. But typically you're going to have dinner with your family at 6. You're going to go for gym at 7. You're going to do a bedtime routine for your kids when you get back from gym around 8. And then you're going to chill with your wife and possibly work on your side hustle a little bit and then go to sleep. Yeah. So this would be like a typical work day.
That sounds so perfect, but it doesn't work like that.
All right, let's go with the weekend as well, right? So this is what your weekend would look like. You might wake up a little bit later now, 7:30 instead of 6:30. You have a bit of slow morning, and then you start taking your kids to some clubs and activities around 9 o'clock. You got a gym session around 11. You're going to have some family lunch around 1. 2 o'clock, you're going to work on your side hustle, but this time for a few more hours instead of during the workday. And you're going to have a family outing in the evening, try and get your kids to sleep, and then chill with your wife in the night. All right, so that's what a typical London dad that has a side hustle, goes to the gym, visits his, and then Sundays to visit parents or in-laws as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Prepare for the rest of the week at the end of the Sunday, right?
You did such a poor job.
and let me just go to our Friday night. Yeah, Friday night says come home, have a takeaway.
Yeah.
With your family, have some family time, and then chill with the wife, and then sleep, but slightly later, maybe around 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right, so this is typical, right? This is the average thing. Now, for this guy, what can we do to get him to level up? What can we do to help him overcome any difficulties that he might find? So he might find difficulties with his kids. He might find difficulties with actually having that chill time with his wife, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, this doesn't always happen. Just giving us a very nice, like, oh, that's a good day.
Yeah.
Is he always going to wake up at 6?
No.
Is he always going to get to work on time?
No.
Is he always going to come back to a wife that has no issues and has nothing for you to sort out around the house? Are they always going to be able to get the kids to bed at the same time and have dinner at that time? Is he going to be able to get to gym every time that it says that you're going to get to gym? And is his weekends always going to look like he gets 2-3 hours to work on his side hustle?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's give this guy some advice to try and keep him on track, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you think?
I think the first thing is, one of the things I think were the most beneficial to me when I used to work in central London, I think, were my commutes.
Okay.
And people kind of zombie scroll, doom scroll, and don't utilize that time. That 1 or 2 hours that you have it is a gold mine, right? Especially the morning one. If you're working on a side hustle, you want to get stuff done. That time is a time where you can be so productive on the train, on the bus, and utilizing that. You don't need to sacrifice the lunch break, right? You can actually have lunch. The second thing on top of that is having an hour for a gym session with no commute time. For example, it said 11 o'clock is gym, and then 12 o'clock is, a time for a family dinner, and then 3 o'clock is like I don't think it works like that. Time slots like that, they don't take extra factors into consideration. So it should be maybe split up into morning, afternoon, evening. Roughly, this is what the morning is going to consist of.
Okay.
Afternoon is going to consist of this, and evening is going to consist of this. And even then, I think he's got too much on his plate. It's taking the kids to a practice, squeezing his gym in, then working on his side hustle, then dinner with the in-laws or his family, and then spending time. There's too much happening in that day. When you consider putting kids in a car, getting them dressed, washing them, feeding them, clothing them, then getting them ready, putting everything away, then coming back home, unpacking all that, getting them settled, then going to the gym.
Sounds like a lot now.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Right? In that sense. So, as much as an ideal structure ChatGPT is given, it is taking away the actual lived experience of fathers and what good family men look like and how they're actually participating in that kind of role.
So you're saying that, look, we can tell you about how to structure your day and make it look perfect, but realistically, what we're saying is that at the end of the day, you're a dad with responsibility.
Yeah.
And so you have to bear that in mind when you're trying to figure out, like what we said at the beginning, is dads are trying to figure out how do we get back on to all these things? How do we manage our time better?
Yeah.
And a big part of managing your time well isn't just necessarily drawing out a very good timetable and schedule, but it's about remembering that there are things that can disturb that and how you're going to overcome it. So I've actually just asked ChatGPT to tell me what some chaos could look like.
Okay.
Right. So let's see what you would say in terms of how he could overcome some of this chaos.
All right. Go ahead.
So kids might disrupt everything. For example, your 6-year-old, he wakes up sick.
Yeah.
So now you don't have a school run, but therefore your commute to work looks different now.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a school run.
Yeah.
Now that means that you're going to be late for work because you're trying to get your child settled, and one of you, your wife, or if you're both working, one of you has to figure out who's going to stay at home, right, with the ill child. That also means that your wife gets stressed and you absorb that stress. At the end of the day, spouses' energy feeds into each other, right? So that's one thing that could happen. What about the evenings, right? You can have an urgent deadline, 4:45. You're about to get out at 5, but now you've got an urgent deadline. You have to finish it quickly. Instead of leaving at 5, you leave at 6:30.
Yeah.
That means you miss dinner with your family.
You miss their bedtime.
That means, and the kids are sick, by the way, so now they're tired, they're cranky. You miss the bedtime. Your wife has had to do it by herself, and so that doesn't happen. And now what's happening is you skip gym because you're tired, you're sleepy, and instead of being productive or maybe working your side hustle at the end of the day, you just turn on Netflix and that's it. You can't be bothered to do anything.
Yeah,
right.
Which I would say that this is what actually ends up happening, and no one knows how to get out of it.
Yeah. So let's figure out what can we do. Number one, reactively, if those things happen, how can we react to those situations? And then number two, what can we proactively to manage and predict problems coming ahead of time? Let's go with number one, react. How would you react to these disruptions to your timetable now?
So in one sense, I don't think anything is a disruption, and that's how I kind of tried to frame it.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay, explain.
Nothing is really a disruption. Nothing is really a distraction, because your priority for you should be your family and everything in terms of their benefit and their kind of well-being. So nothing is really a distraction. The things that are higher in priority and things that are lower in priority. And at the top of it is your family. If you get late to work, you get late to work. I mean, it shouldn't worry or stress you out so much than the thought of my wife is sick or my children are sick and let me tend to their needs.
Interesting.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to go say, this is what happened. I'm so sorry. I'll make up my time, etc. And you do what you do. You should be good at your job. And there's nothing to worry about. But I think we take on so much stress of work and our employers that we kind of get sucked into a lot of kind of unnecessary stress. When we realize, hang on, I would do anything for them. And if they were actually, for example, in hospital, I would say, screw work. Right. But what's the difference here that I've been 10 minutes delayed? I don't have the same level of understanding, and rather it gets me frustrated, and I choose work over, yes, understandably, as men, we want to provide and we want to make sure we're stable, we want to make sure we're in that work to keep up our responsibility and trust to our employers and do so. I was saying, situations arise, but it shouldn't lead you to have kind of that frustration towards your family members if such a thing happens, right? And I think just the framing of that mind actually just takes some of that chaos away for you.
Definitely. Right? I think that's really powerful mindset to have, to be honest. It's because it's easy enough for anyone who's working a job or even building a business that becomes their main focus. Yeah. Right. And that doesn't mean they don't love their wife and their kids. They don't see them as a priority. Yeah. But building a career and building a business takes so much energy from you that if something goes wrong, it's like you just sucked all of your energy out, basically. Yeah. And now you're trying to maneuver that energy over to your wife and kids who need your help. Yeah. And it's so hard to do that. But if you can come in with the mindset that actually your prime energy should always be there anyway. Yeah,
that's number one. Right? That's number two.
It should just always be there anyway. Yeah. And then you bring your next best to building your career and whatnot. Yeah. If you just change that, that completely, like you said, removes the stress in the first place.
Yeah. So I'm going to call you out here live.
Okay, cool.
You were late today.
I was.
You were late today.
Yes.
But it didn't bother me.
Why not?
I said, it's cool. Something happened at home.
I was stressing coming here thinking that you're so angry with me.
There was nothing else. But I know, hang on, you're at home. you also remote work, right? You work for yourself, you remote work, and something could have come up. I had no problem. I was just chilling here doing my thing, right? It was okay. Simply, the first thing is so freeing because it just frees up your mind. Number one. But number two is we fail to give ourselves that excuse.
Yeah.
And I think as men, we just need to give ourselves that excuse as well. That it's okay. What's the worst that's going to happen? You just come and say, sorry, bro. Yeah. I didn't even think anything of you doing to apologize. Like, it's okay. But you see, you were stressing on the way here. That just ruined your whole commute, bro.
Yeah.
You could have just been happy. Like, I'm so excited. But, it happens. I understand. But I think we need to be more understanding of it. We need to support those kind of things. And at the same time, if we come in with that frame of mind that, you know what? I'm doing this for other dads, but this is me being a dad. It's okay. Cool. No problem. I had to do something at home, my responsibilities, or even if I slept late because yesterday I was doing something with them. Yeah. It's all right.
Okay. So now let me throw a spanner in the work.
Go on.
I get that shifting the mindset is important and that helps reduce the stress. But at the end of the day, you still have to work on some of your goals, right? At the end of the day, I still should have been here early. At the end of the day, we still got certain work to do. At the end of the day, you still have your business that you need to run. You can't always be there for your wife and your kids. And so how far do you take this relaxed sort of attitude? How do you get to a point where you reel yourself in and you're like, I've got to get back on it. I've got to make sure I'm there for work. I've got to make sure I'm there for my business. I've got to make sure I'm doing the stuff that I need to do. I can't always be in a situation where there's chaos at home, child is sick, wife needs me. I've got things to do as well. I've got goals to work on too, bro.
Yeah. I think that's a collaborative effort because, as the saying goes, behind every great man is a great woman.
Yeah.
Right. And I think but we will never really accomplish and stand up on our own 2 feet without the support of my wife's. Right. It was my wife in the morning was like, you got your stuff? Have you packed? Have you done this? And I'm here. Right. If it wasn't for her and our collaborative effort, like we would never really, as a family, move forward. And I think that's very important to understand because as men, there's two layers to this. One is you're not going to get anywhere that Allah has not destined for you to get to. 2, if you realize that this is all you're doing, you're completely misinformed. It's not all you're doing, right? It actually very firmly relies on your support from your family. And I mean that from your individual tree, right? And the biggest supporter you have is your wife. And I think the second you lose sight of that, thinking that I need to do this and then we will be great because of my amazing efforts, that I don't want to say it's an ego thing, but it's
it is.
Yeah, in a manly sense that's what every man wants.
Because at the end
he wants to prove that nature of his is able to live up to it. Exactly. Yeah. He wants to see that he's driven the results and he's done everything because this is his accomplishment, which of course we do, right? But at the same time, you have to understand that you want to do all that will only happen by you supporting the family and taking the family support as well, for sure, right? And it's simple. The second I made sure that, things at home are sorted out, well, I said, okay, yeah, cool. You can lock yourself in the study for like 4 hours and work now. I'm good.
Yeah.
Perfect. So this is my downtime. And on top of that, because then I was collaborative, we can have breaks. We can have tea. Like it becomes even more flourishing and productive.
So you're basically saying that when you face those hard and difficult situations, number one is your reaction to it needs to be relaxed, basically. We need to shift the mind.
Yeah, understanding the priority order.
That's the first thing. But then you're saying in terms of actually overcoming this now, getting out of that situation, actually fixing it, it's about working together rather than saying, I just got to dig deeper,
Yeah.
But no, it's about actually saying, I need my wife right now. I need my spouse right now. Let's work together and get to a situation where you can help me get back on track now. Or we can help each other essentially get back on track.
Essentially, you want to paint this wall and you're like, oh man, I just got to pick it up and I got to do it. And you're trying to motivate yourself, right? And maybe it'll take you 4 hours to paint the whole wall. But the two of you can do it together in 1 hour. You'll get there faster by teamwork. You'll get there realizing you have the biggest supporter in the world right next to you. And they've just gone unnoticed. And they've been taken for granted thinking that they're just a childminder. Right? My wife knows everything about my business, everything about anything else. And if anything, she gives me ideas sometimes and things to do, and is on top of my task sometimes. It's like, have you done this? Have you done that?
Nice.
Simply because we work collaboratively, and it's like it helps us go further. It really helps us go further, bro. From the morning to the night, that's all we're doing together.
All right. So to summarize everything that we've just spoken about now, in terms of the audit that we done, advising this guy, this
average guy who's going to struggle,
this chaos that he's facing now, right? If we take all of that and we say, okay, Tisham, tell us now how you would actually practically create that collaborative effort. So you already kind of alluded to it before, where you said that you and your wife had this app and you have these task lists and calendars and things like that. But maybe if you can just give us, everyone who's watching, more of a practical step, like, hey, okay, guys, if you're this type of person, where this chaos is happening, and you try to make a timetable, but it's not being followed, and you want to get back on top, what's the first 1, 2, 3 things that you and your wife should do to get on top of things?
So I think the first thing we have to get on top of is actually our relationship with our wives.
Okay.
Right? Is increasing our communication and speaking to them. Trusting them with stuff. You know, sometimes, again, maybe the manly thing in us, the kind of instinct of, I know what I'm doing, or I know about the work and this and that. But we don't want to hear them out. Right? And sometimes you have to fight it and be like, well, this is what it is. Tell me what you think. Even if you disagree, or maybe they don't understand the entire dynamic of what you're explaining to them, start that communication. Because if you don't start that communication and you don't have that level of working collaboratively, you're not going to understand it. So the whole premise is actually that good communication is actually going to foster that relationship into something that's real. Whereas if you do not have a good communication, all the tips we give you are not going to be adequate. Because we're talking about actually working together. So if you don't actually work on working together, you're not going to be able to do it. Right? So the first thing is good communication. You have to speak to each other. Get used to asking questions to each other and informing each other where you feel as if they don't need to know that. It might bore them and stuff. When you start having boring conversations with each other about things that are mundane, you actually start appreciating each other's likes and dislikes and what they think and what are they doing, right? Like I did something on Claude the other day, and I was explaining detailed what happened with the code and this and that. And it would probably go over my head and my wife, but she was listening. She's like, okay, so but what does it do? And it's that inquiry, right? It's that, okay, so what are you looking for? What's the results? And we have that kind of questioning to understand. And when you have that good questioning, you'll realize that then you can speak about the harder things. Okay, now I can actually go, because we speak about everything, I can now talk to you about, I'm concerned about the kids' bedtime. I don't think it's an adequate time. I think they're waking up too cranky. What do we do about this? Those kind of questions become so easy for you to ask, because now that you've learned the art of expression, you will not be able to articulate or express them because you've never actually, or hardly, or do so in a very limited form. When you become a lot more open with it, that becomes actually easier for you to communicate and manage your time better. Why? Because then you're able to articulate, this is on my mind, this is what I've got to do, these are my tasks. But you're not going to do that, because then the other way you're going to do it is if you think that what I'm saying is just come straight, come clean, you're going to go, all right, I've got this stuff to do and I need you to lock me away. And that's not the way, right? It's about evolving as a couple and growing as a couple, and that will actually help you get better together. That will help her being time management, because it's not just about you, right? It's not just about you flourishing and you looking after the family and saving the world. It's both, right? So you will need to manage your time, she will need to, and you work that. Okay, so how are you going to do it with your time? How are we going to do it with my time? And how do we do it together so that you feel like you're good and I feel like I'm good, and we're working in a way which is balanced, so that we're both.
And this comes from the leadership of the man in the household.
Yes.
This approach, it needs to be led by the husband, it needs to be led by the father.
Absolutely. It was interesting. Something happened the other day in a gathering we were in, and the kids were running crazy. And I was there with my kids, and I just gave one eye. and then they behaved, right? And, the other people was like, and I thought to myself, hang on, if the father's not around, it makes a big difference.
Big difference.
Sometimes they go a bit crazy, the kids, it's okay, right? But at the same time, there are levels to
For sure.
the kind of antics they get up to.
All right, so that's one, communication.
Yeah.
Next step.
I think next step is literally articulating what's in your mind. I think that there should be nothing that's hidden in that home.
Okay.
Right? Your home is your home, right? Nothing should be hidden. So in the sense that, okay, this is what I want to achieve. These are my goals. This is what I want. This is what I'm struggling with. Talk about open. What do you want? How do we work on it?
Whiteboard session.
Honestly, and if you can do it for a long time, just kind of speak about it. And that's why I spoke about the speaking part first, because you're not going to be able to do something like that. It's hard to do if you don't even speak to each other.
You need to be on the same page before you start brainstorming stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And you come with this collaborative mind as a team to say, okay, let's work together. Your time, my time, things we need to do individually, things we need to do together, things that will come and not disrupt, but can come as delayers. Right? They're going to delay our things that we need to do in the day.
And I like how before you said, we don't do this ourselves anyway. So at the beginning, to bring back to the beginning of this series that we're doing, we have to make sure that we're comfortable doing this in our own lives as well.
Yeah.
Even before we get married. Like there's somebody listening here to this stage, you're on a dad podcast, you're not a dad, right? Good job, actually, because you should be getting ready for this.
You should be getting ready.
You should be applying this thing of mapping out your own task in your own time to yourself.
Yes.
As well, right? To be able to then actually do that as a couple.
Absolutely. Because I think it really helps not just for discipline, but you'll see it benefiting you in every aspect of life. For sure. Work, your private kind of personal goals and growth. Maybe you want to get fitter. Maybe you want to take up some classes. Maybe it's even a hobby. You're able to do all of these things in a very structured way. But yeah, then come back to that whiteboard session. Have it. You'll be able to speak and discuss all those things. And it's about both of you. And I think sometimes as dads, we lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also a thing of maybe mom has all the limelight and we also see it as like so I need to prove myself, but there's no proving here. And again,
just working together.
I want to kind of take down the insecurities that people may have, simply to say don't have them here. The outside world can perceive whatever they like. They're not inside your home. So take down any insecurity you have, be vulnerable, speak about those things, and you'll realize that when you actually work together, you'll be actually thriving for even more so, right? And you're able to get a lot more done. And again, it's a growth for two people instead of one.
Okay.
Right?
What's step 3 there?
Step 3 is get organized. Get organized. Make that list happen.
Okay. This is where the tools come in.
Yeah, this is where we have an app we use, and then we kind of go on our messenger chat and then kind of have our daily task list and stuff that we kind of then knock out. But yeah, whatever suits. Like you could even use Google or, use Notion. You can go crazy with it. You can use Monday.com as a project manager. So whatever you want to do.
Yeah. I remember early on in our marriage, me and my wife, we simply just had a WhatsApp group with each other. So we had obviously our private chat, but we actually made a separate WhatsApp group, which just said daily checklist.
Nice.
And we literally would just use that group chat for ticking things off.
Nice.
And then obviously we just had our normal chat. So we'll chat.
Normal chat. Okay. That's good.
So even just that is very, very simple and easy to do. But you could go crazy. You could take
I could go crazy with the stuff.
Project management level as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So in that sense, it's very easy to do. I don't think you need to complicate it. It's not a complicated thing. Literally, you have a message, all your tasks, or it's even on your notes app on your phone. These are the things we need to do. One of you takes the lead on ticking it off and just being on top of it. But you both need to know what to say. You need to constantly refer to it. So make sure it gets done. And then you realize, look, hang on, everyone.
Shared calendar is very important as well, like you were saying.
Yeah, I think shared calendar is the way to go.
I think that's key.
I think you have to realize your time is not just your time. Your time is family time, your time, work time, kind of wind down time and community time. Like there's so many things that.
And also, it needs to be protected as well.
Yeah.
Like you can't just put it in the calendar and then be like, if something comes up, I'm going to move it. Like the attitude has to be, if it's in the calendar,
I guess that
it's protected.
Yes.
Right? Unless you both agree, right? So there's, for example, me and my wife, it's Friday night is always a date night.
Nice.
Yeah, it's always a date night, no matter what. So even if somebody calls me out and says, bro, we're going to go football Friday.
Yeah.
So sorry about date night.
Yeah.
We're going to go, there's this event happening, there's that happening, right? Sorry, I'm busy. I didn't even have to tell them what I'm doing. I'm just busy. Yeah, I've just got stuff to do. But then there's times when we've mutually agreed, me and my wife, that actually, no, this thing is happening and maybe it's like a unique event or something unique. And it's not a regular occurrence. It can't really happen again. then we mutually agree, okay, date night's getting moved to Thursday or to Saturday night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you have to come with that alternative as well, right?
Yes.
You need to come in, if you have something
Yes.
and it's going to overtake something that your wife's already put in the calendar,
Yeah,
you need to come with an alternative and say,
100%.
by the way, we can't do this, but I figured out another time that we can do it.
Yeah.
Right? You need to come with that rather than just being like, I'm going to push out of the calendar because I've got something more important.
Yeah, so I think what you said there is crucial, right? There's these things that I think part of time management, you have to understand that you need to have certain things as a married man and as a father that need to be in your schedule completely.
Yeah.
Like the weekly date night, right? If you can't do it weekly, bi-weekly, once a month is an absolute minimum. But really, it should be a weekly date night or a weekly takeaway with the family, depending on which phase you're in. I think also you need to have in there are activities for the family, or you're going out together as a family to do something, whether that's to the park, whether that's to the museum, whether that's, to watch a football game, or whatever you guys like and kind of want to do as a family together. That's what you're doing, right? So those things have to be very placed very consciously. And that's very important. I think we don't speak about it enough generally is habits that you need to build within the family and things that you should be doing, activities. What are you doing in terms of a routine of making sure that everyone goes to the masjid Jummah at the moment, because the three are very young.
Yeah.
Just before the third one was born, we were going Jummah every week as a family. Right. And there needs to be a level of, okay, where is our masjid attendance as a family? So everything has to be kind of considered wholly. Yeah, you go Jummah, okay. But what about the wife and kids? Like, how are you going to then give them the tarbiyah that they need to go? My son was crying like this morning because he thought I was going to Jummah. He's like, I want to go. He's crying, right? He goes, I want to go to Jummah with Baba. And I'm like, I'll go to Jummah. Right, I'll go to work. But it's that instead of, he comes to Jummah. Like, this is like, he loves to go to the masjid now, right? But if we don't bring them up with that, how are we going to think that they're going to go later in life or have a connection with it or kind of have that affinity towards them? What's actually? So essentially, we have to think long term, but we have to have those weekly slots to make sure that everything is happening. It makes it sound like a regimen.
It's basically saying anchors. That the family time has to be an anchor.
Yeah.
The wife and husband time has to be an anchor.
Yeah.
The fitness time has to be an anchor.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that have to be anchors. Yeah. Right. Whilst other things may be fluid. Yeah. Right. But there are certain things that need to be anchors. And if you can't get that anchor done in the time that you said you're going to get it done, you need to make sure you get it done at that time, basically.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's an anchor at the end of the day. It's like, so your salah, if you miss the salah, you still need to go and make it out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a similar mindset that a father needs to have. All right. We're going to move on to another topic.
Good. All right. So, Shay, it's my turn to ask you, right? And I think you said something very profound. You were with me. And you said something very profound. You said, sometimes as dads, we don't allow ourselves, or we don't think of explaining to our family and our children that dad going out is part of being the dad. No. That is the role model, and that is dad, right? Yeah. So I want to kind of ask you, because a lot of people, unfortunately, they take on the cloak of being a father and think that this is just what it is. Now I've got a bare belly, a pot belly, and I just sit on the sofa. With a vest on, kind of unhygienic and just kind of lazing around, and I'm fulfilling my role, and my role is just this now, that's it. And they don't think to take care of themselves. They don't think about fitness. They don't think about aspirations and goals and moving forward, and they fail to do the things that they did once upon a time, and they always look back at it in kind of guilt. Yeah. So what do you have to say? How would you advise this father?
Good question. So the first thing is to sometimes we get stuck in that rut. Look, I used to be that guy, man. I used to be the guy at the gym. I used to be reading books. I used to be, very disciplined on my eating habits. I used to be in the masjid all the time. I used to be revising, memorizing Quran. I used to be doing all these amazing things. And I had all these goals to do these amazing things. Yeah. And now that I've become a dad, I can't do these things. Yeah. That's what we start telling ourselves. We use the word can't. And we say we can't do these things. And I haven't got time for these things. I'm too busy. Now, once you internalize that and goes into 1 year, into 2 years, into 3 years, 4 years, by the time your child is in school,
Yeah.
Right. And you have not gotten out of that rut of telling yourself that you can't do these things, it's going to be settled. And you're going to become that guy that you're saying, which is on the sofa with his vest unhygienic and just says, this is my life now.
Yeah.
But actually, okay, it started with you telling yourself that it's impossible. Now, I'm going to be realistic here. I'm not saying that you're going to do everything on the same level as you've done it before.
Yeah.
Your gym isn't going to be the same level that it was. Your Quran memorization is not going to be the same level. Your eating habits are not going to be the same level. Whatever you had before, it's not going to be on the same level.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say, okay, realistically, I'm not going to come here and tell you, no, you can do it. You can do everything. You can be in the gym 5 times a day. You can build your empire. You can be in the masjid every single day for every single salah. You can memorize the whole Quran. I'm not going to come and tell you that. Look, realistically, you're not going to be able to hit the goals at the same rate that you were trying to hit them before you were a father.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you can't achieve the same goal.
Yeah.
The goal can still be achieved, but you may have to be more realistic with the timeline and the rate in which you achieve it.
Yeah.
But what we tend to do is we say, well, if I can't achieve it at the same rate that I was doing it before, then I can't achieve it at all. Yeah. We do an all or nothing mindset.
Yeah.
And then that's what destroys us basically as men. No, men, right? We have a desire inside of us to always reach the goals. Like we are very goal orientated species as men. Yeah. Women, even though, yes, they can be goal orientated as well, but they tend to still flourish within being in the moment. Whereas we tend to flourish by living towards a certain future.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Very true.
Obviously, there can be nuances in this, but in a general point, that's what we are. So when you start losing that now, as a dad, you start losing this thing of the future and you start becoming, well, all my life is school run. My life is provide for the family. My life is do whatever my wife says and my kid says. Now what you're doing is you've lost something that you can attach yourself to. Yeah.
Very true.
And you've just kind of become stuck here. And we need to bring that back into the dads, basically, that no, just because you have these responsibilities, it doesn't mean that you give up on achieving those goals. And the key thing here is that you being a good dad is you achieving those goals. Like part of you being a good dad, part of your fatherhood, part of you being a good role model to your children, part of you being able to pass on skills and characteristics to your children is by still chasing those goals. Like your son, your daughter should be able to see you in the morning, not asleep. They should see you awake. They should be able to see that they should be able to think my dad's awake 24/7, right? Why? Because you put them to bed. They don't see you go to bed. When they wake up, you're already awake. I'm not saying that has to happen every time. Just give it as an example of certain great things that your children should see. So you should make it a goal for yourself. I will wake up early. I will do the gym in the morning. I'll do the Quran in the morning. I'll do whatever I can in the morning before work because it's my responsibility as a dad to be that disciplined, to be that kind of role model. And that will pass things over to our children. Rather than using your children as an excuse to say, I can't get up early because I got the kids. I can't go to gym because I got the kids. I can't do Quran because I got the kids. No, actually, it should be the other way around. Because I have the kids, I must go to the gym. Because I have kids, I must memorize Quran. Because I have kids, I must do these things, right? I use that now that new position of responsibility as a father as the motivating factor to go back to those goals that you originally had. But I was keeping in mind, it's not going to be at the same rate. You can't memorize the same amount of pages that you memorized before. Why? Because in about 20 minutes time, your kid's about to wake up. You don't have that freedom of 3 hours in the morning. No one's going to disturb you. You have to get in and out the gym. Why? Because you've got to get home in time for your kid's bedtime. So you're not going to spend 2-3 hours in the gym like you used to. You have to reduce that time maybe into 45 minutes, half an hour. But do that 45 minutes, half an hour with good intention, with intensity, knowing that you're doing this for yourself and for your children, and come back in time for bedtime. Right? So the rate at which you progress is going to be slower, but the goal still needs to be achieved. That's like the main crux to it, basically.
So how do you do it without feeling guilty? Because now, like you said, go to gym for half an hour, but for example, the kids are cranky or they're thrown up or, it's just been chaotic day and you need to go to the gym or you need to do something. And maybe none of that's actually happened. Sure. But you carry a sense of guilt. If I leave, what's going to happen?
So I think this goes back to the discussion that we've had already in terms of collaboration and teamwork, right? You and your wife need to be on the same page when it comes to what the goals for you are individually and what the goals are for the family.
Mm-hmm.
And health should be a family goal. Like that should be a priority. And so you shouldn't have to feel guilty speaking to your wife and saying, I need to leave the home right now to go to the gym.
Yeah.
The guilt shouldn't even be there. Why? Because your wife already understands that health is important. And you should also be at a stage where you're not, I'll tell you what, the reason why you're feeling guilty is because you've messed up already, right? You already didn't give enough time this week to your kids.
Mm-hmm.
You already took away time from your wife's schedule. You didn't let her to go to the gym because of whatever else was happening, right? You already had a number of areas this week where you slipped up.
Yeah.
The reason you feel guilty now stepping out is because you know you don't deserve that now. Why? Because you messed up.
Yeah.
If you didn't mess up, why would the guilt be there? Yeah. The guilt wouldn't be there. Why? Because you already give enough time to your family this week. You already made sure your wife got to go on her walk or her gym or her home workout routine or whatever. You've already catered for those things, right? So you shouldn't have got to a point of feeling guilty. And okay, let's say the guilt is there. First of all, you know, before the guilt gets there, there should be an understanding between the family that this is something that dad does because it's important for him being the leader of the household, is to be fit and healthy and whatnot. And if those things, if you've done what you need to do for a family and you've all adopted the mindset as a family that this is important, then the guilt wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Now, let's say in a scenario where that has happened, that the week has not gone very well, and even if wife understands it, there's human beings at the end of the day. Maybe she just doesn't want you to leave the house right now, right? She just wants your company. She wants your connection. She wants your attention. Even if she knows logically in her mind he needs to be going gym, yeah? It might just be that, okay, these things can happen, yeah?
Yeah.
Emotions can happen and whatnot. Okay, fine. So now you're like, okay, I know that chaotic situation is there, but I still need to make sure I get to the gym. They have an alternative now. In those rare moments, or even if they happen more often, in those moments where those things happen, have an alternative to the gym. Have a home workout that you rely upon. Have a fitness goal in mind that you rely upon. As an example, I couldn't get to the gym today. Can I make up for that hour at some point other in the week? I can't get to the gym. Can I make up for that as a home workout for 20 minutes? I can't get to the gym today. Can I turn that, instead of going to the gym in this hour, I can see that my kids are overwhelmed, my wife is overwhelmed. Can I get everyone ready and go for a family walk instead and get my steps in, right? And still do some fitness, maybe not as intense as you wanted to, but still reach some fitness goal and still help out the family. Think about what the alternatives can be so that you can still achieve some of your goal if you can't achieve all of it. And this is the principle, right? And
it's not all or nothing.
It's not all or nothing. This comes from Auditing as well. Yeah, the principle of if you can't do all of it, doesn't mean you leave all of it.
Yeah,
still do some of it as much as you can.
Mashallah. Okay, sounds good. I want to hold in on something you said earlier, which was sleep is something that you want to kind of tame. Those weren't your words, but your words were roughly around, you want to kind of aspire for the kids to see you as like someone who's completely awake, right? So how is sleep a strategy here? What are we talking about sleep? Because obviously everyone needs sleep. How do we do that as a time management tool and utilize sleep where it's restful, but at the same time you're saying, you know, you should use it in a way which is actually for its purpose?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm very bad when it comes to sleep. Do you know what it's like? I can operate very little sleep.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that. But that's a bad thing when it comes to advising other people, because not everyone can do that.
Yeah.
Right? Not everyone can do that. And it's not healthy for everyone. And it's probably not healthy for me as well, to be honest. On an average human being, they should have enough sleep. And just because you could operate on less sleep doesn't mean that now that it's going to be your norm forever.
Yeah.
That's not going to backlash, right? But from a general statement, I mean, I had a period where I did a lot of sleep research, actually. So I was reading a book called Why We Sleep.
Fantastic book.
It's a really good book.
Yeah. I've
also was reading through The Productive Muslim, and he has a whole section dedicated to sleep as well. So there was a little period where I was listening to some podcasts on sleep as well at that time. So I was going through the whole sleep, right? And look, sleep is something that's often overlooked when it comes to productivity.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time when we talk about time management productivity, we talk about the calendars and the to-do lists and the this and that, right? And we forget about sleep. But sleeping on time and waking up on time actually completely can change the productivity of your day. And I would say more important than a morning routine is a night routine. That's something that I've learned over the past few years.
Okay.
A lot of the times when we start figuring out, okay, what's my day going to look like? Where do we start from? We start from the morning.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up early. I'm going to pray tahajjud. I'm going to pray fajr. I'm going to read Quran. I'm going to do my adhkar. I'm going to work out. I'm going to get a coffee. I'm going to do all these things before anyone has ever woken up, right? How are you going to have the energy to do all of that if you haven't even focused on your night routine? Your night routine is more important because it sets up your next day. Your morning routine would only actually kick into place if you have a night routine.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to actually start with the night before. And the night before starts with winding down. You have to make sure that you wind down, right? If you go straight into, it's 10 o'clock, I'm going to fall asleep now, from closing my laptop, getting to bed, you're not going to have a very good sleep.
You're still...
Your mind is still going, that what we've mentioned about having a chill time with your wife is not just important for your relationship, but it's actually important for your own mental health as well. For you to have time away from the laptop, from the phone, for an hour before bed at least, and you have that wind down time, whether that's with each other or whether that's by yourself. You need to wind down, get away from things, put yourself in a relaxed sort of mood to be able to then fall asleep and have a goal, a time of when you're going to fall asleep. Don't say, you ask somebody, what time do you fall asleep? Sometimes around midnight or so. No, say, actually, I'm the guy that falls asleep at 10 or 11, whatever it is, right? Have that goal in mind. What is the target for you to actually be in bed and close your eyes?
One of the things I want to add there is you can help that by, getting those apps, or generally on the phone settings, you can say, from this time, all of my notifications are snooze. And I think that helps being away from the screens and devices and kind of being stimulated so that you can start winding down to get to sleep, right?
For sure.
In even the kind of the blue light filter and stuff as well. It really helps. I think it really helps. I think it's important to know about these things. There can be such an overload. But it's important for that productivity.
For sure. Like even, for example, what I try to do is put my phone charger on the other side of the room.
Oh, nice.
Instead of the plugs that are closer to the bed.
Yeah.
So like that. Make sure this is all Simon before it starts ringing.
Talking about silencing notifications.
So I try to put my phone on the charger on the other side of the room, right? Because it then prevents me from using it when I get into bed.
Yes.
If I put it on the bedside one, then I'll look at it before I fall asleep.
Fine.
But if I put it over there, then I get into bed, I have nothing to look at.
Perfect.
Right? So I think that's important. Also, it helps getting up as well, because you have to actually get out of bed to turn the alarm off.
Yeah.
Once you're up, right?
Yeah.
So that's helpful, I'd say. So focusing on the nighttime routine is very, very important, right? Then you can actually say, okay, I'm going to wake up at this time and I'm going to do this. Because why? You've allowed yourself to fall asleep at a good time in a relaxed manner. And therefore you've had a much more productive sleep. And your productive sleep allows you to wake up in the morning with a much more fresher mind, not feeling as groggy as you usually do. Just generally being a bit more fresh and ready to take on that morning routine. If you only focused on the morning routine and you still fell asleep with the bad habits that you usually do before you go to sleep, maybe because you have so much motivation, you would get up that morning, but it would not last. It would not last. You wouldn't be able to do it for 2, 3, 4, 5 for a week. You won't be able to do it. By the time you get to second day, you're going to crash because you haven't set yourself up properly for a productive day. So focus, I would say my top tip would be focus on a nighttime routine. That will help you have a good sleep, and that good sleep will then help you be productive for the rest of your day.
All right. I want to go from one nighttime routine to something you said earlier, which is date night, right?
Okay.
Date night really should be not a surprise, but it should be a system, right? So I want to know more about why date night is important, not just as like kind of a bond between the husband and wife, but why it's actually something that you need to manage properly.
Very, very good point. I think this also goes back to the goals of the individual and the goals of the couple. Right? A goal of any sort of couple should be that we are always going to improve this relationship. We're going to allow this, we're going to make sure that this relationship is always flourishing. And if there's any rocky parts of this relationship, any you know, you have ebbs and flows and everything. And if we get to a point where things are really difficult, we know that the goal has always been that we're going to work on it. Like, we're not going to allow this part we're spiraling downwards to become the identity of our marriage. No, this is just a part of the marriage that has happened. But the identity of the marriage always is moving it towards flourishing, moving it towards a bigger, larger goal. Right? In the same way that you as an individual, you make sure that whilst you're taking care of being a dad, that you have these overarching goals, such that even if you get distracted from those overarching goals, the distraction doesn't become your identity now. The identity always is, no, I'm always going to achieve these goals. And so you don't allow yourself to be sucked up by the chaos of what can happen as a father. You just get through that chaos and come out the other side so you can carry on with what you need to be doing. So date night is basically part of that, right? Date night is part of building that identity of what your marriage looks like, right? It's like it's a cornerstone essentially of that marriage. Why? Because when kids come in the picture, it can become very easy for now your role as mother and father to literally just become mother and father, right? You've switched roles now from wife into mother, from husband into father. And that can now become the overarching identity, that our role now is just to do that. What then happens to the role of the husband and the wife? It gets deprioritized and it becomes roommates now. We're just roommates and we're just going through the motions of being together, but really the big thing that we're doing is being a mum and a dad. And of course, I'm not saying that now only focus on being a husband or a wife and don't focus on being a mother or father, right? Or only focus on being a mother or father and don't focus on being a husband and wife. It depends on where you're at, right? Certain months and certain weeks and certain years may require more intention on the mother and father side, and certain times may require more attention on the husband and the wife side. But there should be anchors that allow both to continue at least at a minimum level, right? And date night would be one of those anchors to allow that feeling of being a husband and a wife, being a couple, being connected with each other, having love with one another. That can be secured by having that time that, you know, every single week, regardless of how over consuming this role of being a father is right now, because my kids are young and I need to take care of them a lot and I need to be there for them a lot. Regardless of how that might be taking 90% of your time, that 10% of being a husband and wife and being with each other has to be there. So that date night allows for that to be there because it kind of outsources it, right? You don't have to really put in the effort. You just know every single week at this time, regardless of what's happening, we have to get into husband and wife mode.
Nice.
So you outsourced it to your timetable now. You don't have to do the mental load of, all right, cool. I know I still love you. We still know each other, right? We still love each other. Okay. You know, at the end of the week, when all this stuff has happened, you could be a husband and wife again.
Okay, nice.
Really important.
I think that's beautiful. Well, I'm going to ask you.
Yes.
Any good spots you go to? Maybe cuisine. So we keep it general.
Okay,
otherwise, we're going to come hunting for you there.
Majority of the date nights have been in the home.
Okay.
Yeah, majority of why? Because we've got young kids.
Fine.
And so we can't always be in a situation where family members can look after the kids.
Okay.
But it's important to make sure that those times happen as well. So date nights can be of basically two types. Yeah. One in the home, one out of the home. Actually, 3 types. One in the home, one out of the home, and one out of the home with the kids. Yes. So the one in the home, what me and wife generally do is one of us goes and puts the kids to bed, and one of us gets the home ready for date night.
Nice.
It depends what's happening in the day. Usually they do that, right? It's not a kind of set thing. My wife is always going to do that. I'm going to do that. Also, we kind of take it in turns in terms of who is hosting the date night in a way.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's kind of like, yeah. So it's like, okay, this week you're thinking of the idea of what we're going to do.
That's
this
cool.
Week you think of the idea of what we're going to do.
All
So
right.
usually the person who thinks of the idea is probably the one who's setting up the home.
Fine.
And the other one's putting the kids to bed, right?
Okay.
And so, but the thing is, if you do it, things at home can become repetitive and boring, right?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of figure out a certain variety of things that you can do together.
Okay.
I think this is going away from time management now into marriage advice podcast, right? But I think it's good.
I think it's important because this part, that time management, it is so that you have optimum output,
Okay.
right? And the optimum output here in your relationship is going to make sure that you thrive on everything. Because everything I touched on was hang on, good communication. Hang on, you need to have these as the premises and foundation before you can worry about being the most productive man, right? So this, I think it's the pillar.
The easier part is doing the whole project management task list, right? All of this is the harder part.
That's the thing. But no one talks about this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But that's the whole part. You can go on the YouTube.
Productivity, you can get all of that tutorials on how to do this and that. But this is actually the foundation to all of that productivity.
And it's the lived real life, right? And I think that's why it's so important, because otherwise we miss out. Okay, I have this whole thing of I just tell me how to do something and I will do it. If you tell me how, I'm going to copy and paste. Because really, I don't want to use too much of my brain power, right? I don't know, it just fizzles out. But what I want to do is, you've given me that idea. I'm like, oh, that's good. Okay, let's see how I can iterate it, how I can do it, how I can implement it. Done. Fantastic. And I'm going to go. And it's going to help me, right? And I think that's the important part, that where we bring the lived experiences and make them practical and open them up, then people will do it. Because we can sit here talking about all those tools, and we have meetings about those tools, right? And I can talk about loads of those tools. But that's necessarily not going to help someone in their relationships at home, with their wife, with their kids, being a better father and being more productive and thinking about their side hustles or anything, because then they don't have a happy home, right? So let's actually make sure that we understand that this is all part of being that time productive, happy home.
That's good. All right. I'm glad that you said that.
Yes.
So back to date night.
Back to date night.
So we have a variety of things. We have options at home.
Nice, good.
So we have the shelf with like games, board games.
Fun.
We have like a list of movies that we'd want to watch. We have types of food that we might want to cook for each other. And then you have like the more you could say like I don't know, what would you call it? Like more rare stuff or more stuff that is a little bit more out there. So as an example, we haven't done this recently, but for a whole year, we did what was called alphabet dates. So whoever's in charge would have to think of things to do with the letter. So A would be, okay, I'd have to come up with ideas on a type of food beginning with A. An activity beginning with A.
Okay.
Like different things beginning with A that would happen in the date night.
Does a burger count?
We made rules on this. It can't be that.
Right, you had to do something like Azerbaijan, like Argentina.
Exactly.
Right,
exactly.
Okay, exactly. No, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So as a result, I think when we got to F, right? What I ended up doing is I was running late, so I was out working, and so I was kind of missing the date night time.
Did you get a baguette?
But no, I didn't.
Oh, right. Yeah, French baguette.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't do that.
Right.
So I'm late, and I'll tell my wife, don't worry, I've got a wicked plan, yeah? I know I'm running late, we're going to have a good time. She's like, okay, fine, let's see what we're going to do. So I did the easy thing, which is fish and chips.
Oh, right? Okay.
But then to make it better than just fish and chips, I went to Tesco and I got one of those mini barbecue pit things.
Yeah.
The ones that you can just put on the tabletop.
Yes.
Got one of those.
The little park ones.
Yeah, little park ones. And I've got like wood fire.
Yeah.
That you can also get in Tesco. And I basically had a fire. Fire. So we're in the garden with our fish and chips. And I set up a little fire in the garden.
That was so nice.
And then we done that.
Hey, you got a brownie for it.
Yeah, that was a good one. So my wife really enjoyed that one. But yeah, there's like still in the home. So kids were sleeping upstairs.
Yeah.
It's late night. We're in the garden area. For the fire, no fish and chips going. So good, right?
Brilliant.
So you can make things a bit more creative even if you're at home.
Yeah.
Then when we're going out, obviously this is now, you need to plan, right? If you've got young kids, speak to your family members.
Yeah.
Your parents, her parents, whatever, friends, family, so who can look after the kids for a few hours.
Yeah.
So that you guys can have your own time. And I would say this one is more rare, of course, because it's harder to set that up, but should still happen every so often, right? And then once we get a chance to do that, then we'll try and do something completely different. So a nice restaurant somewhere in central London, or some really nice activity, I remember we done ice skating one time, different things, right? So try and make it a bit more special because you don't have the kids. You're not restricted to the home. So try and do something a bit more special. Then there's the date nights that happen with the kids, which actually is more rare, I would say, even. Like we try to avoid it as much as we can.
Okay.
But if we have to do that, then because basically what happens, it becomes like a family night out, and it's less so about us connecting.
Yeah.
So we try and pick like fun things to do with the kids, arcade, or just going out for like a cheap meal, like a burger or something, or but one thing that does happen actually quite often is going for a drive. So going for a drive often happens. So what we do is we get the kids in their pajamas, make sure that they're fed, they've got their pajamas on, and they've got warm clothes on. And we just bring blankets as well, and we put them in the car. And we go for a drive, and eventually they fall asleep. So then it's just me and my wife, and we're just driving. We don't know where we're driving, we're just having a chat. And a lot of the times we'll end up pulling up to like some sort of drive-through, some sort of a takeaway, like milkshakes or something, or we just grab a milkshake or something like that. Grab a bag or something, and we just park up. The kids are still asleep. We're in the car. We're just chatting. We're just eating. We're having a milkshake and whatnot. Or we just keep driving and just chatting until we get back home again, and then put the kids into bed.
See, I love this kind of stuff because I feel as if now that you've given that, they're like, my brain is ticking. I'm like, okay, this is good. You know why? Because if you don't get the idea that you can do something like this, you will always be oblivious to it, and you'll never be able to implement things because. Saying make a wheel, right? What do I even do? But if I say, if you just do this and just do this, you'll be like, oh, okay, I know how to do it. I can go ahead and do it in my life, right? And just by you going through it, I appreciate the honesty and kind of you going through it, right? It gives the audience advice in how they can do this within their own lives, right? Maybe they'll take some of it, maybe they won't take some of it, but the hows are so clearly laid out that we'll do it. What I want to move forward next to is coming back to kind of fathers now specifically, is I want you to give them advice about what they're optimizing for. So I want you to speak to 3 different people. So I'm going to lay it out for you. Perfect. I want you to tell fathers what they're optimizing for with newborns and maybe up to, let's say, 3 years old. Okay. So 0 to 3. What phase and season of life are they in, and what they should kind of focus on. And then I'm going to do a big jump here. We do about 4 to about 10. And then we'll do a big generic one before 12 to 18 kind of thing.
Sure. Okay, nice. This is a big question.
It's a big question. And it's in 3 phases. So you've got some...
You can help me out, yeah?
No, you got it.
All right.
You're in 2 of those phases.
So newborn phase.
Yeah.
Okay. A big priority is going to be your wife.
Yeah.
It's going to be your wife. Okay. She's just come out of a pregnancy. It's very difficult. Her body has changed. Her time has changed. Her life has changed. Her identity has changed. A lot of things have changed for her. Yes, things have changed for you too, but you also probably have some of those original anchors still there, like going back to work.
Yeah.
Okay. Going back to the masjid, doing all this kind of stuff, right? You probably still have some of those. So not to downplay that the man also goes through a big change in of himself. But there is going to be a lot of support that you need to give your wife at this time. So, and for your child who's in that 0 to 3, there's going to have to be a lot of presence. Yeah. Okay. Because these are the early years. If you look from a psychological angle, these are where early bonds are created. And so you want to be around as much as you can, talking to your child, playing with your child, changing your child's nappies, just really being there as much as you can, right? And your child goes through so much development in this phase that really you don't want to lose out on anything either, right? As a dad, like you want to see all of that, you want to watch all of that, you want to hear the words, you want to hear the sentences change, you want to see them crawling and then walking and then running and all this kind of stuff, right? So definitely being there is going to be important. And this is also going to be a phase where sleep will be difficult, okay? Because you're going to either be co-sleeping, or if you're not co-sleeping, you're going to be doing sleep training and trying to get your kids to your young baby to sleep away from you. But in either way, your sleep's going to be affected, right? And so that just means that therefore your productivity during the day can be affected.
Yeah.
That also means that things that you would like to do late at night or early in the morning can be affected.
Yeah.
So you just need to go into that phase realizing that and just being okay with the fact that I can't do some of those normal things that I'd want to do because I'm just in a different phase right now.
Yeah.
And the child is the priority and the wife is the priority right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's where anything you would add to that on that phase.
No, I think you added it spot on. Let's move to then the 4 to like 8-year-old kind of 4 to 10.
Yeah.
And then we'll do 12 to 18.
Yeah. So we're talking about primary school years.
Yeah.
Okay. So here is going to be now where your child's identity is starting to form, their personality, their likes and their dislikes is starting to form. and they see dad as superhero.
Yeah.
This is the age where dad is everything. Dad is the strongest. Dad is the smartest. Dad is the the fastest. That is everything. Yeah. And they are starting to build their outlook on the world based on what their parents expose them to.
Yeah.
So if you expose them to certain shows and cartoons, that will affect the way that they look at the world. If you expose them to the masjid and the Quran and the importance of those things, that will become important to them too. You expose them to arguments in your marriage, they're going to start picking up on that and seeing that's how marriages are, right? So this is where they become sponges, essentially. Things that you expose them to will start to set the foundations of how they view the world and how they view life and how they view themselves and their personality.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a crucial time for a dad to be very conscious of his own attitudes, of his own behaviors, of his anger, of his patience, of his discipline, of his habits. You have to be very conscious of these things because you're on show now. You're on display, right? Your kids are watching every single move now at this age. And they're judging everything. Whether they say it or not, they're judging everything, right? And so you're on trial, essentially. You're on trial, and you have to make sure that as best as you can, you work on those flaws that you have, whilst recognizing that you would have been very unlikely to work on those flaws beforehand. If you did, great. But I tell you why, it's because you probably never realized those flaws until your kids got to that age. So you didn't even know you had to fix them. Because when your kids started testing your patience, you realize, actually, I'm not as patient as I thought I was. When it's when your kids start asking you certain questions, your kids start having certain likes and interests, then you realize, wait, what? I do this. I have this mistake. I have this fault. You wouldn't realize it beforehand. So do give yourself a bit of credit in a way, in that, yes, whilst you're going through this change and seeing all your flaws and you're trying to fix your behavior, and yes, ideally you should have been better, but don't blame yourself too much, because it's part of tarbiyah. Tarbiyah is two ways, right? Tarbiyah is not just you sharing information. It's also you receiving information.
Social.
And so
sometimes they end up teaching us.
This is part of your tarbiyah as a father now, because your kids are giving you tarbiyah too. But the way that they act is actually feeding into you improving your own character. So just know that this is going to be a phase of self-development, but this is also going to be a phase where you need to give a lot to them, right? You need to think about all the great things that you can imagine as what a father could give to their child. Giving them confidence, giving them resilience, character building. How do you do all of that? Not just by telling them. At this age, this is all showing them. Telling is not going to work at this age. Yes, you can have moments where you sit down and you have that one-to-one and you discuss. If you find that your child is getting a bit mature, maybe towards the 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds, right, where you can have that one-to-one discussion. But majority of these years is going to be all about showing. So as an example, if you want them to build confidence, how are you going to do that? Number one, you need to show them confidence. But number two, you can't just tell them be confident. You need to put them in situations. Make them confident.
So this was my next question, which was, how do you teach and model time management for your kids, right? So let's just address it here, and then I'm going to go back and about the next phase as well.
Okay, cool.
Go on. Since you're on it.
For sure. So number one, you got to show them, right? So you got to be sticking to your discipline. You got to be sticking to that timetable. You got to be sticking to the communication that we've been discussing. You got to be showing that in the household that things are happening, things get done, right? And you can't be showing that you're overwhelmed and you missed this and you missed that. Your kids need to see every single day at 6 o'clock, dad opens the Quran and he reads in the morning. You can see that, right? Every single day at 6 p.m., dad leaves the house to go to the gym. You need to see that. I'm not saying it will always happen at these times, so I think generally,
roughly,
giving a general statement here, that they need to see at certain times certain things happen, and dad sticks to it and make sure that those things happen. And that you start giving them responsibility of their time as well now.
Okay, good.
Okay, so hey, look, it's 7 o'clock now. You've got 1 hour until you need to be in bed, right? You've got 1 hour. I'm not going to say it again. You got 1 hour. That's it. You leave a clock on. You leave a timer on. Okay. Boom. The timer goes off. It's 1 hour now. Have you got yourself ready for bed yet, right? I gave you an hour. I told you, brush your teeth, change your clothes. I'm talking about kids outside the order.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
brush
yeah,
your
because
teeth, change your clothes, do this, okay? And I set the timer for you. You weren't able to get it done. Yeah, but I was paying this up here. You didn't get it done in that time. You were supposed to manage your time. You were supposed to. Okay, so now that means tomorrow we're gonna have to reduce the time now.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't have that privilege of playing for that long now. Your playtime's gonna be reduced. Why? There's a consequence to you not time managing properly.
Brilliant.
So you gotta set certain goals for them that they can follow. But also you gotta help them through it. They're kids at the end of the day. You gotta get them to get used to it at first, and then you gotta give them a bit more independence so that they can manage their time as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so backtracking to the previous question, I was speaking to fathers about the season that they're in. Now we're on 12 to 18. So this is kind of now
not our territory at the moment.
Not our territory, but the tough years, as I've been told, right? This is kind of peak independence, kind of discovering who they really are, really turning into young adults.
Yeah.
In a physical way and a mental way, and setting themselves up for big things in the future. Like these are the kind of those years. So what kind of advice would you give for this season?
I teach kids on a regular basis at that age.
Yeah.
So I kind of, even though that being a teacher is different to being a father in the home, I have a bit of understanding, I guess, of the mindset of some of these young lads. And a big thing for them, and even if you think about when we were at that age, the big thing for us is being able to be who you want to be, right? Being able to basically say, like, I'm my own person, I'm my own man, I have my own likes, I have my own dislikes, I have my own, and even though those likes and dislikes are probably not your own, they're probably through peer pressure.
Influence,
They're probably through influence. They're probably through, that guy's got a haircut, I want that haircut too. That guy's got those trainers, I want those trainers too.
Yeah.
Right? But you internalize it. You think it is your own. You think that is your own thing, right?
Very true.
And so when you think it is your own thing, you're very likely to defend that in the face of your parents. Your parents want you to have this certain haircut. No, I'm getting that one. Your parents want you to have these sort of trainers. No, I'm getting those ones. Your parents want you to go to a Quran class. No, I want to go to football training instead. Right. So even if it's not really your own, you internalize it and you say it's yours. And so I would say what a father needs to recognize at that time is the child of that age is craving that independence, and is craving to be able to put that on display. And so father needs to realize that, okay, commanding this kid is not really going to work at this time. Because the kid isn't really going to be following commands. If at that age he does follow commands, so probably two situations. One is that you've got a really good relationship and you've got to a stage where, mashallah, your child feels like very confident in themselves, that listening to dad doesn't make them feel like it's not aligned with who they are. Like both those things align. Who they are and listening to dad aligns perfectly. Why? Because you've done such a good job of giving them enough confidence and independence from a young age, where the parenting and the independence all kind of falls into one. But this is an ideal situation, and it can be rare at times. So I say either they listen to you because of that reason, which is a good reason, or they listen to you because they just want you to get off their back so that they can carry on doing what they want to do, right? And being in that second situation, you don't want to be there, because it just means that there's a disconnect between you and your child. Your child is just listening to you because they know they should listen to dad, but they don't really want to. They want to go ahead and do their own thing. And you're thinking that, your child is listening to you, but he's not really. He's just trying to basically satisfy you. As long as my child listens to me, he must be a good child. Now you sit back thinking you've done a good job, but dad, behind the scenes, your kid is just doing that just to get you off his back, and he's going to go ahead and do whatever he needs to do, right?
Yes,
So you're going to be in these two situations if you command your child. Ideally, you want to be in a situation now where you're not commanding, but you're actually showing interest in their interests at that age. So this is more of a friendship. You're on a stage where it's more of a friendship. Okay, that doesn't mean that you completely become their friend. You let them do whatever they want, and that's it. You're just boys now. of course, there's a level of discipline, there's a level of guidance, but how you're going to guide that child is that they need to be comfortable enough to take that guidance from you. So you need to show enough interest. So, what are you, PS5? All right, tell me about PS5. Sit with them, play PS5 with them. Figure out when there's a new game coming out that they like. Buy them the new game, right? Be with them, because then they'll be comfortable enough to take your guidance.
Yeah.
Now, when a situation comes up and you need to provide some guidance in that situation, you need to steer the path of your son or your daughter in that situation. Now you can actually give that advice, and they'll probably will take that advice and that guidance on, because you've connected with them in a way that they want you to connect with them.
So with staying on the time management topic, I think there's so much fatherly advice that I could ask on right here specifically. But would you say time management wise, to be with your children, you should have blocked out time? Like one-on-one time with each child, or like what would you be advising?
So I would say at a younger age, probably, actually, to be honest, I'd say throughout all the ages, having one-to-one time is important. But I'd say the importance of one-to-one becomes even more important as the children grow up, right?
Yeah.
So I'd say even now, like for example, my daughter's 5 and my son is 7, and I've got a 1-year-old. But if I just look at the 5-year-old and the 7-year-old, giving them one-to-one time is important, for sure. But majority of the time, things are done together. But as they grow older, they'll become even more important to give them one-to-one time, okay? So that they can feel that sense of closeness with the dad. So when it comes to managing your time then, one thing, there's a brother, he has 6 kids.
Wow.
He has 6 kids, mashallah, tabarakallah. And they're ranging from teenagers all the way down to young ones, and what he does is that he puts them on a one-to-one rota, So every 6 weeks, you get a one-to-one with your dad.
Nice.
Because once a week, he has a one-to-one with each of them. So by the time he gets back to the first one, it's back again, right? And what he does is that he says, I let them decide what to do in that one-to-one. So they get a choice.
Okay. We have this long together.
We have this long together. What do you want to do? You want to go out? We can go out. You want to eat? We can eat. You want to play a game? We'll play a game.
Yeah.
It's child-led, basically. That one-to-one time is child-led.
Brilliant.
And that's, I mean, looking at that, I think that's a great example.
Yeah.
And that's what I would advise, is that you block out a time for one-to-one.
Yeah.
Even if it's only once every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
It's once every 6 weeks, but at least you blocked out that time for one-to-one.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you obviously have your regular family block anyway.
These are the anchors that you were talking about earlier anyway. I think they're important to have. Okay, brilliant. Let's move on to the next section. All right, Shane.
Yes.
That's it for us for this series, inshallah. I want to finish on some closing remarks. So maybe a tip or something you want to leave with the dads to think about.
Yeah.
I have my own, but of course.
Yeah, I'll say to kind of wrap up on the time management stuff, I think what's really important, that in all of this, we've talked a lot about responsibility towards your kids and your wife and working on your goals and things like that. But leisure is also very important, right? Like, no matter how productive you are, no matter how good your time management is, you need to make sure that you're giving yourself some time to relax. Yeah. Because that will only help with your productivity. Like, if you can find that time to just switch off and just to relax, it will reset your mind, your soul, your body, and allows you to be more present with your family, and allows you to chase your goals better. And we have to give ourselves space for that. Like, you can't just say, yeah, I'm going to relax. Or, yeah, I want to get time, I'm going to chill out. You actually have to schedule that in. Like, you're a father, which means that you have very little time to yourself. You've got time for your wife, you've got time for your kids, you've got time for work, you've got time for your side hustle, time for this, time for that. You can't just leave it on the side, because you're so overwhelmed with so many different things that if you just leave leisure to the side, it will never come in.
Yeah.
So you have to block it out.
Very true.
Like for me, something that me and wife have done since we've been married for years and years is Saturdays are the days that I can do what I want to do, and Sundays are the days that she can do what she wants to do.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. And so she will have the kids, all of them, for Saturday, and I will have all the kids for Sunday, right? So that means when I come on a Saturday, I know that is my day for leisure.
Yeah.
So even if I have chosen to do some work on that day, but that was my choice.
Yeah.
If I have chosen to go out that day, that's fine. That's my choice. If I have chosen to do whatever that day, I've done that because that's my leisure day, right?
Nice.
So that, and a similar thing for my wife. And I would say that every father needs to make sure they block in that leisure time.
Okay, amazing advice. Jazakallah khair. My top tip, because we're closing off, is, you know, as you said, sometimes we get so overwhelmed with a lot of this. I think part of time management, we've spoken a lot about family, routine, responsibilities, is sometimes taking off your leisure thing is being able to just shrug stuff off your shoulders, right? Coming home from work, don't just come home with the energy of work to your family, right? It's take that deep breath, spend 5 minutes, detox, just take off the energy and stress of work and the thoughts of work, so that when you come in, you know you got the dad hat on, right? Called the merch.
Dad hoodie.
Right? That's really what you gotta have. In essence, because you don't want to be thinking about the email John sent you, really putting you down and stuff, and then bringing it into your family and your kids and your wife, and because it's going to affect your behavior and stuff. And you're going to realize it's going to plummet your time management and productivity at home, because you're going to lose all of that time. Then you're going to regret it. Time is very limited, and time is going to run out for all of us. So we have to utilize time in a fruitful way, in a way that's efficient and optimized. And I think being able to kind of have a wind down time of what you've kind of transitioning between the two periods of work and home life, you need a transitionary period. That could be just the commute home, for example. That could be just before you go in, you take a little deep breath, you know, do some star jumps and loosen up, get the smile ready on your face instead of the frown that you have, and then walk in, right? So I think that's very important to kind of do and have before you enter the house. So I kind of wanted to just give that top tip. I think Sheikh Abdullah Doro mentioned this, and he smashed it in how he explained it. So I've done it no justice, but I wanted to just put it out there too.
I love that chef and the series that he does. Yeah, his YouTube channel, mashallah, he's a legend, man. He's a legend. All right, Jazakallah khair, Etisham, for another Dadhood series. Alhamdulillah, it's hopefully this has been beneficial for everyone who's been watching and listening. And you know, just I know it's a long one. There's probably multiple different episodes, or this might be one long episode. But you know, take what you can from it and revisit.
Yes, like, I think the different elements, different sections.
Yeah. Just keep coming back to it, inshallah. Yeah. All right. Till next time. Alright guys, so if you enjoyed that video, please do subscribe and follow me on TikTok and Instagram for more dad related content. Check out some of my previous videos and look forward to the next ones.